Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Echo of Life. Let's start. It begins softly, unseen. You're 7 years old, looking into the face of a parent who is coming undone. Could be despair, could be rage, or perhaps it's the vacant stillness of a person too shattered to be present. Without a single lesson, something primal shifts inside you. A silent vow forms. If I don't keep things steady, everything will collapse. This is how a child vanishes, not in body, but in spirit. They smile often. They rarely weep. They master the art of gauging a mood before they utter a word. They become the emotional anchor of the home, a miniature adult long before their heart is prepared. And the world commends them for it. You're so grown up, so reliable, so resilient. Yet no one pauses to wonder, what was the price? This is the hidden sorrow of those who matured before their time. Today, we explore the inner world of that child, for the consequences don't fade with years. They mold you. They trail you into your connections, your work, your very sense of value. And without comprehending the past, you may spend a lifetime replaying the survival strategies that once rescued you but now quietly drain you. Let's begin with the developmental truth. When a child must provide emotional stability for an adult, reversing the natural order, this is known as parentification. The child becomes the caretaker, the mediator, the confidant, the guardian. This does more than disrupt health. It rewires the mind. Consistently tasked with managing emotions, their own or others, the child develops hypervigilance. You are perpetually alert for threat. You tread carefully. You come to believe love is an exchange. You offer calm, and maybe you receive security. You learn your needs are a liability, while theirs are an emergency. So you recede not in form but in feeling. In your stead emerges a persona that functions flawlessly. You are the commendable child, the silent overachiever, the healing friend who never makes a demand. You wear this identity so completely that even you forget it's a disguise. But beneath the surface, a pain endures. An ache persists, because the inner child you tucked away did not perish. They remain, whispering into the silence. Why was no one there to shield me? As years pass, the signs grow more intricate. You may become fiercely self-reliant, refusing support, keeping others at a distance, never quite believing you are secure in love. You might feel detached in moments of happiness, because joy seems alien, unmerited, or risky. You may find it impossible to relax, as your worth has always been tied to what you produce. And, perhaps most cruelly, you may not recognize you are still operating from a place of survival. When turmoil is your early normal, your nervous system accepts chaos as its resting state. Calm feels unsettling. Peace feels untrustworthy. Love feels like a future debt. This is the psychology of a childhood surrendered too soon. It is not mere melancholy. It is a complex wound that reshapes your perception of the world and, most vitally, of yourself. Why would a child assume such a burden? Because a child will do anything to preserve a bond, even forfeit their own truth. It is not a conscious decision. It is biology. In the absence of protection, the child trades authenticity for connection. That is not fragility. It is ingenuity. It is instinct. Yet the heartbreak is this. What preserved you then can confine you now. So many of us move through the world as capable adults, directed by a profoundly overlooked inner child. We excel to feel worthy of love. We stay quiet to evade being left. We care for all while secretly longing for someone to simply ask, "Are you all right?" That fantasy, that someone might notice you are not as sturdy as you appear, that perhaps you could finally break down and be caught, that is the unresolved longing. Not of your adult self, but of the child who never knew a true childhood. Healing does not start with correction. It begins with acknowledgement. Until you honor what occurred, you will dismiss your own story with thoughts like, "It could have been worse. Others suffered more. I'm okay." But okay is another mask. And in your depths, you know it. What becomes of that child in adulthood? They become adults who feel uneasy even in tranquil spaces. They become partners who distrust tenderness. They become helpers who cannot accept help. They become people who say sorry for their tears, who withdraw from praise, and who mistake depletion for accomplishment. This is the toll of speeding through youth. If your early years taught you to be hard instead of gentle, silent instead of sincere, to mend others while neglecting your own breaks, what adulthood awaits? You inherit a life where you are perpetually bracing, waiting for permission to finally come undone. But here is the reality. No one is coming to save the child you left behind. You are the one who must return and take their hand. You are the one who must speak the words they never heard. You did not deserve that. You were only a child. It is safe to rest now. This is the entrance into shadow work. Not fixing, not pretending, not skirting the hurt with false optimism, but turning toward the forsaken pieces of yourself and stating, I see you, I am listening, and I will not abandon you again. This is the work of repair. It is arduous, for it requires you to feel the sorrow you never had space to feel. It asks you to be present with the anger, the grief, the starved needs, to weep for the celebrations where no one came, to grieve the purity you lost while safeguarding those who should have safeguarded you. That sorrow is not a flaw. It is evidence that you are mending. What was once locked in ice is finally beginning to thaw. Now, let's observe how these survival mechanisms surface in adult life. Quietly, painfully, often unseen. You may be the healer in every friendship, yet never allow anyone to truly know you. You may be applauded for your self-sufficiency while secretly fearing to be a weight on others. You may find yourself in dynamics where you overperform, constantly solving, organizing, justifying, and then wonder why resentment builds. You may wrestle with limits, because no still feels like disloyalty. These are not character flaws. They are learned adaptations, conditioned, ingrained, and, importantly, they can be unlearned. But only when you cease glorifying your endurance and start tending to your injuries. One of the most profound steps you can take is to ask your inner child, what did I need then that I never received? You might hear, I needed to hear it wasn't my mistake. I needed someone to check on me. I needed to be carefree, to rest, to laugh without dread. And slowly, very slowly, you begin to offer those very things to yourself. Not to alter the past, but to cease repeating it. This is how you stop looking for a parent in your partner. This is how you stop confusing dread with insight. This is how you cease fleeing from the child you were and the person you are meant to become. Carl Jung observed, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Shadow work demands that we face it, all of it, the ignored, the humiliated, the frightened, the furious. For healing is not about transforming into someone new. It is about recalling who you were before the world insisted you become someone else. So, if you are someone who grew up too soon, understand this, your maturity was never the flaw. The flaw was that you were given no alternative. But now you have a choice. You can choose gentleness. You can choose to pause. You can choose to stop curating the emotions around you and start respecting your own. It will not transform in a day. There will be moments you feel small again. That is not a setback. It is the purpose. Let that child return. Let them weep. Let them be light. Let them be witnessed because you are not damaged. You are becoming complete. And perhaps for the very first time, you are finally growing up the way you were meant to. Not under strain, not from fear, but guided by your own truth. You did not have a childhood, but you still hold a future. This time you get to author it.